Welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, we have an amazing guest. I see this person online a lot, speaking on stages, connecting with people, adding value to her customers and clients and her audiences. She is a powerhouse when it comes to strategic thinking and building purposeful brands. And not just any brand. Lots of people could build brands, but she builds purposeful brands because that's what you need to succeed. She is an award winner. She has great content on her YouTube channel and also her podcast. So please welcome business award winner, author, speaker, and also investor, Miss Lisa Patrick.
Good morning, Fong. It's so great. I mean, I can't believe that it took Dallas, Texas to bring us together, and we live in the same city. How is that even possible?
Not only that, it's from Dallas, Texas to a mutual acquaintance, and then to me, and we're still all in the same city.
I know, and we're meeting virtually. So we've just talked about that behind the scenes, and we need to change that. I'm excited to meet you in person.
Awesome. You as well. And yeah, I'm very excited about this because it's always great talking to people who are very, very strong when it comes to branding. And also when I'm talking to somebody who's local, because our reference points are very similar. So it's going to be an amazing, amazing time. So first of all, you're this amazing person when it comes to branding and helping other companies and entrepreneurs build their brands. How did you get to where you are today? Were you always thinking at the young age of 12 is like, you know what? I want to be a branding specialist.
No, you know what? I grew up in a small town in Saskatchewan as a farmer's daughter, and I actually wanted to be a cop. Wow. And ever since, I was lucky because I was one of those little kids. As a little girl, I knew at age 12 that I wanted to be a cop, and it never changed until I actually worked in sex crimes for the city of Edmonton. And then it changed very rapidly that was not what I wanted to do. But if somebody would have told me, the little girl at 12 years old, that I'd be doing what I am today in business, I don't know that I could have wrapped my head around that mindset of what that looked like. So it's interesting how our worlds evolve and change over time, right?
So what was the process like? Did you go into different like when you were a police officer? And that switch, you went, you know what? I want to turn and do something else. How did you pick being in business?
I have always been curious. Mm-hmm. In fact, I wrote a book about it, about intelligent curiosity, with my great friend, Jim Cathcart, who's a Hall of Fame professional speaker and sales legend. But I think curiosity has always been at the core of everything that I do and continues to be. I love people. And I thank my mom and dad for that as a young kid, because they were farmers and dad was an entrepreneur and mom was an entrepreneur. And when they weren't farming, dad had another business. He was a driver ed instructor, and everything was always about curiosity. When other farmers came over, friends and family, and they sat around the kitchen table, there was always a plethora of questions. And I think what I learned at a very young age is to shut up and listen. And that does us well in business, right? It does it well. Fong, you're great at shutting up, listening, and extracting as a coach that great potential of what your clients and other people have. And I think when we're really curious and intentional about the questions that we ask, and we shut up and we listen to what people say, that's where the gold is, right? Because people have stories. The magic is always in our mess. It's our job to figure out what that is and amplify it.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's a lot, like many elements when it comes to business. There's the sales part, there's the marketing part. How did you rest on branding? And then also, was it something that you saw in that's in common for a lot of other companies where their branding is not very strong? It's not very purposeful. Yeah. So therefore you go, this is where I really want to hit.
I think, what the problem is, and everybody hears this, it's like we should, we want to lose weight, so should we go on a diet and watch what we eat? Calories in versus calories out. We all know that. It's the same as branding. We know that we need a foundational component to our brand, that we need purpose. We need to focus on why we do what we do, right? Rather than the what and the how initially, because those are the features, and people don't buy the features. People don't buy what it does. People buy the transformation that it makes in their lives. And it doesn't matter whether it's a personal brand or it's a company brand. We need to really focus on that. And in order to do that, again, we need to be curious and ask great questions.
Mm-hmm. Now, you do work with a lot of entrepreneurs, businesses. Is there something in common that most of them struggle with?
Yeah. Why they do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And as crazy as that is, I think that in order to really scale and maximize your potential, you really need to understand why you do what you do. And it's not, I get up in the morning because I want to help my family and my friends. That's not a why. A why really is very purposeful, and it should be threaded through everything that you do, every person that you see, every action that you take. And it should be your guideposts for when you have crunchy conversations, when your back is against the wall, because it will happen in business more often than not. And it will hold you accountable to what you need to do. And it's how people buy you. And I think when you figure that out, like my purpose is to stand in the greatness of others. And I love standing in the greatness of you, Fong. We're doing it right now. And I just think that when you figure that out, people naturally gravitate you to you, and the sell and the revenue of what you do or what you offer comes more naturally.
Mm-hmm. Now, being backstage or in the green room before we started recording here, you shared something that I found very, very interesting. Lots of people go, you know what? I'm going to start a business. I'm going to stay locally. I'm going to expand out. And once I'm ready, I'm going to expand out to the next country and internationally. But you went internationally first, and then now you're starting to shrink back into your local area. Why is that? And why is that such a strategic method of becoming successful?
International was easier. Uh,
Like,
like, I don't do things normally. I don't take the path of least resistance. I typically take the path that has the most obstacles in front of it. Why? I don't know. It's just how I'm made up. But it was easier. I can hop on a Zoom call and speak to a client in the United Kingdom a lot quicker than I can get into my vehicle and speak to somebody here locally in Alberta. And I had young kids when I started in business, and my husband works out of town and he's gone a lot. I often refer to myself as the single married woman. So I had to adapt and find a integration that worked with for me in a work-life balance. And it was just easier to do it globally and internationally. And there are bigger markets out there, and when I started in business, I happened to meet a lady who was from the United States, Patricia Fripp. And she had it was an North American brand. And that's what started a lot of the work that I did. And her network and other networks they were internationally. And that's why I grew. I also knew that when my children got older, because I have twin daughters, that I would have the freedom and the flexibility to leave and go overnight stays and so forth here locally, and that would make sense. And so that's why I did that.
very cool. Now, a lot of people go, taking that first step into business is already tough enough. You took that first step between becoming a police officer to business, but from business to international business. Was there a lot of people go, oh, don't do that. It's gonna be too big of a step. Hang on to something else. Maybe do something that kind of allows you to kind of ease your way into business before you quit and all that kind of stuff. How did you face that adversity and navigate through those waters?
Well, it's interesting. Of course, yes, I had a gentleman early in my career who told me I should just quit. That's literally what he said. He says, "You're never going to make it. This is, what you're trying to accomplish is unrealistic. It's impossible. Just quit and find a day job." That's literally what he said. Those words exactly. And I looked at him and I told him to F you. Like literally, that's what I said. Because if you're telling me I can't do it and it's impossible, well, it's possible. So I'm going to do it. And that only adds fuel to the fire for me. And so in my mind, I think if you're telling me I can't do it, there's got to be a way to do it because you think it's impossible and you're average. You're thinking average. You're not, no, think bigger, go home. It's think big or think bigger. And so because of that, I used it as fuel as opposed to an obstacle.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned thinking a few times, and you're a very strategic thinker.
Yeah.
Is there something that you do on a regular basis that allows you to become a very strategical thinker?
Well, I'm an avid reader,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very much a continuous learner. And my kids just the other day said, like, "Mom, another book came. Like, why are you like? How do you read all these books, right?" And I think that there's always a golden nugget in every book that you can apply to your business and you can learn from somebody. I don't believe that anything is brand new. I think that it's either recreated, revamped, re-looked at, a little bit of your secret sauce, which is always your experiences in your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's your differentiator, what I call your unicorn ability. And if you're willing to be intentional and open to think about what that looks like, you can apply it to your business. But more importantly, you can apply it for somebody else's business because they often can't see it for themselves. And that's really important. So I'm, about to launch something really big that is going to be national for Canada. And one of the conversations that I had with my business partner, and I can't stay right now where I would, but was about another opportunity that's happening for me on a global market and how is it going to apply to their business, to their brand, and connect the dots. And I think, Fong, that's what you do really great as well, is you're able to connect the dots for people that people can't see, but not just connect it strategically and think about it, but actually, how do you get there? What's the roadmap? What
Mm-hmm.
does that journey look like?
Yeah.
And that's often the piece that people miss.
Exactly. Another piece people miss is they don't know what their true talents are. You
Yeah.
kind of talked about that unicorn ability that every
Yeah.
single person has. But lots of people go, you know what? I don't like what I'm doing now. I want to go off on my
Yeah.
own, but I really don't know what I'm good at. How do you help somebody find that talent? How do you discover that unicorn?
Yeah, so it's interesting because a lot of the work that I do today is with transitioning executives
Mhm.
that are looking to, they've got a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year roadmap. They're trying to amplify the company, the brand they currently work with, but they're also trying to build in the background a personal brand that will eventually be another business brand. And it's really about everybody suffers, including me, and I'm sure including you, of imposter syndrome all the time. I always think, why would anybody want to listen to what I have to say? Right. But it's our experiences and it's our failures and our success that actually defines our unicorn ability. Right. Because there's really nothing. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of millions of business coaches. But what makes you great versus what makes me great is our experiences, right? Those stories that we have, the failures and the success, and the roadmap that we built to get there. And I think when we talk to people, we ask again intelligently curious questions, the magic is always in their mess. They just need somebody to be able to pull that message out and articulate it in a way that resonates with everybody.
Mhm. Now, the previous question you talked about getting lots of books coming in and all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now people are going to get your book coming into their house. So congratulations for
Well,
that.
thank you.
And so
I
share
would
with
only hope that that's what happened. But
they're using your book now to create that strategic thinking.
yeah,
So explain to us more about that intelligent curiosity.
it's really about, we think of curiosity not like a looky looker, who's driving by, there's an accident on the side of the street and we're trying to figure out, sorry, my lighting went all crazy. I hit the button. Um, you're looking at it, you're curious about it. That's not what I'm talking about. Not that curiosity. I'm talking about asking questions that really are intentional and they're focused and they're strategic, but most importantly they're being perceptive of the other person, understanding that who that person is. I'm a really big believer in Tony Alessandra's philosophy of the platinum rule. Have you ever heard it, Fong?
I believe I have, but
Okay, so we
good
all know
question.
the golden rule, right?
Yes.
We know the golden rule. The
Mhm,
golden rule says treat others how they'd like to be treated. But Fong, what if you're not like me?
mhm.
My message is never going to be received
Right.
in your mind because I'm treating you like how I want to be treated. And that is emphatically wrong. If you treat others how they'd like to be treated and you really understand the person,
Mhm,
your message will always be received because you're adapting who you are.
right.
That's what intelligent curiosity is. It's understanding who that other person is and adapting and being perceptive about what you're asking, why you're asking, and how you're asking.
Mhm. I like to look at those two rules where the golden rule is like the base, right?
Yeah,
You
that's a
start there
really good,
first.
that is a really good way to start.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
start there first, and if only if it's a positive, then you move up to the next one, right? If moving up to the next one hurts you or it hurts other people, then I probably wouldn't do it. But we'll it's kind of like a case by case basis, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, for
Yeah, tell
somebody,
me, that's interesting. So, sorry, and I know that this, like, I like the conversation.
yeah, it's all
So,
good.
tell me, when do you think is the right time to actually move, like, in your words, up? Give me an example. Tell me a story.
Like for instance, if at the very basis, if I go and do something that I really don't like being done to me, then I
Yeah,
probably won't do it for somebody
right,
else. But
right.
if I move up to the next level on a platinum level, and then if I do this that I don't think it's necessarily for me to enjoy, but it would enhance that person's experience,
Yes.
then I would do that.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. And
Because
that is
then
the platinum rule, right?
exactly. Because
Yeah,
then I might be giving a different message to somebody.
yeah.
Right? If I do something that's for them, but it's really not for me, and they do it in return, I would not be able to give the same kind of appreciation that
Yeah.
they would give, kind of thing, right?
Well,
But
it's
like I said,
funny.
case by case.
That reminds me of a story. So I'll have to tell you about my friend, and I tell this story often. But so very early in our professional career, we became friends, and I did not understand who she was emphatically at the core of how she communicates, right? And so something happened in my career, and I was so excited. I sent her a message, a text message, and I said, "Oh my God, I can hardly stand it." Now, in my personality style, that's like, this is huge. In her personality style, it was like something tragic had happened, something horrific. And 20 minutes later, because she doesn't live far from me, there was a knock on my door. And I came to the door and I opened it, and she's standing there in tears. And I'm like, "What's wrong?" She goes, "No, no, what's wrong? What's wrong?" And I'm like, "What? What do you mean, what's wrong? Like, you're crying." And I'm like over the moon happy. And she's like, "But you sent me that text." I did not understand how she communicates.
uh,
And she didn't understand how I communicate. Same words, very different meaning.
mhm.
And I think it comes back to that is understanding the other person and being intentional about how you communicate with them. That's what the best brands build
Exactly.
on messaging.
Cool. Well, your story kind of propped up this other example where it's a lot of has to do with how people perceive and
Yeah.
work with information, right?
Yeah.
I know somebody who owns a coin shop, like an antique coin shop,
Yeah.
and they actually won like the Lotto 649 or won some big lottery.
Yeah.
The co-owner did not win, but the main owner won that. And then
Ooh. Ooh.
what
Now
happened
there's a
was,
crunchy conversation.
well, yeah, that's what I thought, right? So then I talked to the co-owner. I'm like, so what do you think? Are you upset? He's like, you know what? I would never ever want to win the lottery. And I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, it's probably the worst thing that could ever happen to you. I'm like, that's a completely different mindset.
Yeah.
And he then explained to me, he goes, do you realize how many people gave this person a call who weren't friends to begin with, who didn't care about him, and they were actually family members that kind of shunned them away. And now they're all giving these great ideas and great investment opportunities and asking for money and all kinds of stuff. He's like, I don't want any of that. So I'm actually happy that he's gone now because now he bought the company
Yeah.
completely and he expanded. So it's kind of interesting how people take certain information and work.
Success is a little bit like that, right? Like if you think about it, so the more successful you become, and everybody defines success differently.
Yeah.
But most people define success by how much dollars is in your bank account.
Yeah.
So the more success you become, you are like the lottery winner, except for that you had to work really damn hard to get there. And nobody really appreciates that and only sees the end result of the success, right? Like I'm not I'm not a Louis Vuitton and I got all kinds of flashy rings and all that. That's not how I show my success by any stretch, but some people do. Yeah. And when they do that, they invite some of that in because it is like winning the lottery to the perception of others, right? So I think success is the lottery for many people. And it's interesting because that's also brings, I think, for lottery winners is the fact that they've never worked hard to get to that money. That money has been instant for them. And you often hear, I think there's quite a bit of research around how many lottery winners actually piss all the money away
within like a year or two.
Yeah.
It's down to where they started, kind of thing.
Yeah. Whereas very successful people don't because they've worked really hard to get there.
Exactly. Having you on this call, and I'm sure lots of people can tell, you're full of energy. Especially we're talking about something you're passionate about, right? Now, is that something that you had to work on to have that energy, or is it just something you have all the time?
It's just I appreciate that, and thank you for your kind words. I love people. And again, my purpose is to, stand in the greatness of you, Fong. And I'm just the vehicle. And for me, I love to learn about people because the more engaged you are with somebody and the more genuine you believe in them, the more likely you're both going to succeed. And I always think of things as the trifecta for success. The trifecta for success, not sex, success is me, you, and the customer, right? The client. And, you and I can do really great things together, but we need that third person. And it's really about how do you make a win for everybody. And I call that this, which is my new book, by the way, it's called The Belongonomics of Relationships. It's how do you create those conditions for people to belong, thrive, and amplify, right? Like how do we do that? And we do that through people, through interactions, through relationships. And that's the key to success for everything. Is your network and your relationships.
Now, what you just said there could have scared a lot of people away. They go, you know what? I really want to network. I really want to go out there and do stuff and be successful, but I am so shy. I'm such an introvert. I can't go. Like sticking my hand out there to shake somebody's hand and say hello freaks me out. So what's your advice for those people who goes, you know what? I can't do it.
Fong, I hate networking.
What?
I hate it. And in fact, I am an introvert, and most people go, what? So many times in my younger self, I would sit in a parking lot and I never went into a lot of events because I was so afraid of being not knowing anybody in the room. And I still suffer from this, quite honestly. Like I was at an event not too long ago, and it gives me anxiety to think about that I have to enter a room of a room full of strangers, as crazy as that sounds. So I think we all suffer from certain things in life. I gamified it. That's how I get over it, is I gamify it. And I think about, okay, when I walk into a room, so for any of you who are watching this or listening to this, and you're as petrified as I still am many times, I'll go into a room and I'll look for the person that's standing in the back of the room at the edge of the room by themselves. That's who I go and talk to first.
Wow.
And that's how I overcome, because they're feeling the same way I am, and they're just looking for somebody to have a conversation with, and they don't know anybody. So why wouldn't I go to that person? Because they're feeling the same way that I feel, and let's make each other feel great.
It's interesting how everybody always sees that there's always somebody above them. There's always somebody better than them, but they tend to forget if there's somebody above you, there's always somebody just below or not at your level, right? So you could
Well,
always
and
connect with them
perception
first.
isn't always reality. You and I both know that, right? Just
Exactly.
because you perceive that they are greater than you, better than you, I'll guarantee you they've all, every single, and I know a lot of really high performers, they all suffer from some kind of self-sabotage, some kind of, fear, like they all do. You can have the most beautiful women in the world and they think inside they're ugly.
Yeah, which is
Right?
very unfortunate.
It
Um,
is.
you also confirmed with a lot of comments that I asked when I asked that question that a lot of speakers, a lot of people who are full of energy, full of passion, so extroverted looking, are actually introverts inside, and that gives hope for all those people that goes, you know what, I'm too scared to go out there and talk to people. So thank you very much for that. Now, when it comes to surrounding yourself with great people, you also surround yourself with great mentors, coaches, and people
Yeah.
that can guide you along. What would be one thing that one of the coaches or mentors told you that you went, oh, wow, that's a game changer?
Do I have a toilet paper roll here? Because well, like is a list. What I will tell you is that you have to, like a good coach interviews you. It's not about the dollars that are being transferred, or the cost of the coach. It's about whether or not you can actually take action on what that coach is telling you. You and I share a great coach.
Mhm.
We're both coached by JT Fox. I love JT because he is straight to the point, tell it like it is, no fluff, no bullshit. I like that. I resonate with that. When I go to my doctor, I don't want my doctor to say, "Oh, it's okay, Lisa, you're going to be all right." No, no, no. Just tell me what I need to know so I can either do what I need to do or I can not do what I'm doing, whatever it may happen to be, so that I can advance and I can make the transformation that I need. So I think you have to remember that when you're thinking about your coach, that it's the right fit for you. And if your coach is not asking you if they're the right fit, it's the wrong coach for you.
Right.
So I think that's really important. I think, and we have multiple coaches. I have 5 coaches right now for very different reasons. I have a marketing coach, and I tell Myron all the time, I'm like, Myron, I feel like an idiot because here I am, I'm out there full transparency, and I'm helping brands build and marketing and whatever, and I can't see my own shit. And he's like, that's natural because it's your stuff, right? We have an emotional attachment to what we do and how we do it.
Exactly. Just like when
So,
people are selling their houses, right? They're like,
yeah,
our house is worth so much more than this. And yeah, that's because all your memories are in there.
yeah, yeah. And you must run into that lots, Fong.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you overcome that?
Well, coaches, you talk to your coaches and find out how do you navigate through that mindset? How do you detach yourself from your emotions so that you can see the true value of what it is or see the true problem of what it is, right? You need that outside influence to kind of guide you along to let you see outside as to who you are, what you're doing, and outside of the fog.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I always say it's very, we're stuck inside the picture.
Mhm.
We can't see the picture frame.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, there's lots of people who don't really think about this stuff, which is legacy, right? What are they leaving behind? What's the reputation that's going out there? I find that legacy and branding is very close together. What would you say legacy means, and what are you doing about your legacy?
Yeah, so I'm probably not going to be very popular at this, but I actually don't think branding is legacy.
Okay.
I actually think branding is relevancy, and relevancy builds legacy. And so, if you, whatever it happens to be in your business, can't define relevancy for somebody else, you can't build legacy
Mhm.
off of, because it doesn't resonate with other people, right? And I also think that legacy is one generation. There are very few people who are a Van Gogh that goes multiple generations that people know about who Van Gogh is, the artist. Or, like Elon Musk will have genuine legacy because he will have legacy past one generation. And I think people think of legacy past one generation, but quite honestly, my children don't know my grandfather, and he had legacy. He was an amazing businessman.
Mhm.
And, you know, the town where he had his business, everybody knew who Tom Buziak was. My children don't know. That's not legacy. So you've got to have relevancy. And the content that you push out into the market, whether it's a product, a service, you know, a thought leadership, a results driven based thought, has to have relevancy for multiple people over a long period of time. That's legacy.
Mhm. Awesome. Well, that's a great take on what legacy is, and hopefully lots of people think more about that, bringing in that relevancy so that it can last a little bit longer than one generation.
Yeah.
What is your next big thing? I know you have your book coming out soon, but what else?
Yeah, so Fong is going to help me with my next book. We had this conversation prior, so I'm excited about that process. I actually have a couple things happening. So there's a new platform coming out, a social media platform called QP, which you're very well aware of. I've been invited to be one of the what they call the Magnificent Seven. So
Cool.
one of the 7 core creators at launch. So I'm very excited about that. So you can follow me on QP. And I'm also about to launch a national brand that has a global footprint. They have about 17 million customers currently right now, but they don't have a big brand within Canada. And so I'm going to be the face for that brand moving forward. So I'm very excited about that. So stay tuned for that. And as always, I'm always looking for more clients that I can stand in their greatness and help them amplify who they are and the products and services that they're trying to create. So
Nice. Lots of exciting things coming up. So
yes.
I'm really looking forward to seeing all that stuff come in the next little while.
Yep,
Now,
absolutely.
Now, let's imagine that you're on the world stage and this is the entire world, and you get a chance to share one message that you want everybody to remember Lisa for. What would that one message be?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know, and it's a simple message, but I think it's really important. Is loyalty rules the world. And if you can't be loyal to yourself first, you can't be loyal to others. And if you don't know who you are, you can't be loyal because you need that guidepost to really understand who you are emphatically so that you can show up as that person.
Mhm.
And I'm a big believer. We've all had, you know, we've had great business partners, we've had great strategic partners, and we've had some really bad ones. And we all have great stories where, you know, had there been loyalty involved in the relationship, things would have moved very differently. It's okay to have a crunchy conversation, but we do need to be loyal to one another. And if we are, then we're kind and we're generous. And I think that's really important.
Mhm. Awesome. Good. Awesome words to live by, and something I hope everybody takes to heart. That's usually my final formal question, but you've said crunchy conversations many times.
Yes. Yeah.
Where did that come from?
So that comes, you know what, that I have to give kudos to my great business partner, Lauren Rubis, who was a former chief people officer at ATB and chief innovation officer at Northwest College here locally. He's a culture guy. We have a company called Belongify, and please go look at it. It's really about how do you create experience of belonging for teams. And you know, amplify leadership excellence by doing that. And he talks about crunchy conversations all the time. And Lauren and I have had multiple crunchy conversations. But the difference is that we're loyal to one each other and we recognize the value that each other brings to the table. And we all have crunchy conversations, right? And quite frankly, right now, if you're listening or you're watching this and you're avoiding having a crunchy conversation, that's the conversation you should be having.
Mhm. Now, that doesn't mean you go grab a crunchy bar and talk.
No, well, you could. I mean, Snickers has built a whole brand around having, you know, being the crazy crunchy person. But
Having those deep, in-depth conversations that actually help you grow and difficult conversations, but it really helps. Before I let you go, I got a few quick rapid-fire questions. Give me the first thing that comes to mind.
Oh boy.
All right.
Okay, I'm ready.
Stranded on a deserted island, one food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence.
Pizza.
Hollywood calls, Lisa, we want to do a biopic on you. Who do you want casted to play you?
Reese Witherspoon.
Reese Witherspoon says, "Hey, I got the job. I'm gonna play you for this next movie." She shows up and goes, "Let's hang out, but I'm hungry. What's that special dish that you could serve her?"
I'd find out her favorite dish, and that's what I'd serve her.
You're gonna do some big, deep diving there. One event that you would love to win the gold medal in.
One event I'd love to win the gold medal in. America's Got Oh no! It's not America's Got Talent. It's Dancing with the Stars.
You're on a car ride, long car ride. There's for some reason or another. This used to work well when we have like a tape deck, but it's all MP3s now. But anyways, one song that's stuck and playing over and over again. What's that one song you don't mind listening for hours and hours?
Oh my God, you're gonna laugh. Motley Crue, Smoking in the Boys' Room.
Wow.
Crazy.
And my last question, but first, number between 1 to 4.
2.
1, 2. So how is success similar to batteries?
It keeps on going and going. It's like the Energizer Bunny.
Nicely done. Thank you very much. That is how success is like batteries. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
They can find me anywhere. They can go to lisapatrick.ca. They can go to bravurabranding.com. I'm on all social media platforms at Lisa Patrick BFD.
Awesome. And any final words from you?
Fong, thank you. It has been an absolute honor and pleasure. And may I ask you a question to end the show?
Sure.
How is success related to batteries for you?
For batteries, for me, I think it's something that you need to work really hard and basically charge yourself so that when you need to activate it, you connect all the dots, and that's when you can release all that energy to do what you need to be successful.
Wow, that's a great way to end the show.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing. It's been a blast. I had an amazing time today. Great way to start the day. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For everybody else, she is Lisa. My name is Fong. Until next time, today is the day to lock your peak potential. We'll see you later.